One more point, Truth Seeker. I did a recent PowerPoint. You can watch this online. I talked about how often the number 33 is coded into divisive, deliberate hoaxes waged by world governments. In the United States, in the U.S. Army Field Manual, Rule 33-1 is the Psychological Operations Program. A psychological operations is any form of communication in support of objectives designed to influence the opinions, emotions, attitudes, or behavior of any group in order to benefit the sponsor, either directly or indirectly. The sponsor, in this case, being the world governments who are hell-bent on ruling their people with tyranny and deceit for the purpose of enslaving them, abusing them, exploiting them, as is done to all of us, those awake and those who are asleep. The majority of us work year-round, and a third of our wealth goes to these tyrants who use this money to rule with dishonesty over us. Our money puts on these productions, the September 11th, what happened yesterday. In this most recent shooting, in Paris, it began in the neighborhood Denis, which has a gematria of 33. The first shots fired were in the 33 neighborhood yesterday. The majority of casualties happened at Bataclan, this theater. There's a lot of things that are interesting about. Remember, the first reports yesterday were that 18 people were dead. Then it jumped to 43, then 60, then 120, then 153. Now today it came back down to 129. But CNN all night last night reported at least 153 dead, and we'll talk about that number in just a bit. I was doing more research on France, the history of France. I found that Aleister Crowley spent a lot of time there and spent a lot of time developing his occult religion Thelema there. What's interesting about Thelema is it worships the number 93, and the number 54 is also important through the gematria of love. Thelema has a lot to do with love. The word love has a gematria of 54. Unfortunately, this number shows up a lot around sacrifice. Here, Bataclan has the gematria of 54. The man who created this theater is named Charles Duval, who has name gematria of 54 as well. In my research, I show how often structures have names that have the identical gematria as the people who created them. This is a Freemason practice throughout history. It's not unique here. If you watch my videos, you see how often this thing happens. I'm going to show you why the Bataclan was the central point of this hoax. Again, yesterday, November 13th, was the day that left 48 days left in the year. This attack happened on the 48th parallel. The words hoax and propaganda equal 48, as does the word Illuminati. The date it was built has a gematria of 25. This number is coded all over this event. The word massacre has a gematria of 25. There was a massacre at the Bataclan, supposedly. It's also a date with 88 numerology. The words poison and program have gematria of 88. These stories are poison and program for the minds of innocents who believe the lies and then believe in the evil responses by our government, such as war, such as taking away our rights, etc. Notice that this was designated as a historic site in France on the date of November 3rd, which can be written 3/11 or 11/3. Again, this shooting yesterday came 311 days after the Charlie Hebdo shooting that began at 11:30 in the morning, 113, a number often used in hoaxes. This date of recognition is a date with 25 numerology, like the date it was first built, the number connecting to massacre, which happened yesterday. It's a date with 34 numerology. The place was first opened on February 3rd, the 34th day of the year. The word murder equals 34. Yesterday it's reported all these murders happened there. It's also a date with 105 numerology. In the video I did yesterday, I showed how 105 was coded within the story. The words Zionism and Masonry equal 105. It is the Zionists, the Masons who control our media, controlled world governments, and more. Here's the theater where the shooting happened. Notice that in 1926 is when it was bought and turned into a theater. Look at what year a fire broke out there. Fire broke out in 33. 33, of course. 7 years later. 7 can represent complete in numerology. 7 years after being bought in 26, it burns in 33. If you want to go back and watch my very first video, I talk about the numbers 26, 33, 47, and 74 being coded into hoaxes more than any other. France has gematria of 47, the most important number to the Zionists. Some interesting gematria from all the different names it's referenced as. Bataclan Concert Hall, Bataclan Theater. It has all these different names that it's recognized as. So again, this came 311 days after the Charlie Hebdo shooting of January 7th. Look at Charlie Hebdo. Charlie has gematria of 38, like the word death. Hebdo 25, like the word massacre. Charlie Hebdo equals 63, like Paris equals 63. Charlie Hebdo is a French satirical weekly magazine featuring cartoons, reports, and jokes. Truth Seeker. The people who run the mainstream media, the tyrants who rule over us, they rule us with satire and parody, but they tell us it's truth. And this is what we need to wake up to. We are treated like idiots. On September 11th, you can still watch this news footage on YouTube. The news anchor in Pennsylvania, where Flight 93 of 33 passengers crashed, is standing at the site telling the people they can't find a plane. He's theorizing that it possibly flew into the ground so fast that it completely buried itself. And he's also telling the people watching that they have recovered turbans, box cutter knives, and terrorist passports. This was the mainstream reporting on September 11th. They could not find a plane, but they could find turbans, box cutter knives, and terrorist passports. Now you tell me if that's not satire. Here's this span of 311 days. Again, the main brunt of the action was here at this site dedicated November 3rd, which can be written 31111/3. The Charlie Hebdo shooting happened at 11:30. Remember, 113, a special number. The words mainstream, dishonest, and green screen all have gematria of 113. The Zionist Jews like to use the Talmud. In the Talmud, Baba Kama 113a says Jews may use lies to circumvent a Gentile. That is a non-Jew. Again, in France where this happened, it is illegal for people to speak out against Zionism. The wool is slowly coming off the eyes of many. The lies by the Zionists are huge. They definitely connect to the Holocaust, which is a definite lie. World War, Pearl Harbor, Holocaust, all have gematria of 114. Here in the United States, we're living in the time of the 114th Congress. The leader of Congress just stepped down days ago, John Boehner, who had name gematria of 114. Second in command of Congress behind him was Orrin Hatch, who also had name gematria of 114. The two leaders of the 114th Congress, name gematria of 114, special numbers. The leader of the UK, Winston, 114 name. Remember, the Nazis came to power in the year 33. The number of the PSYOPs. Nazis equals 33. Holocaust, the small way, equals 33. Zyklon B equals 33. Adolf Hitler's a story by the numbers. I have a video on it. From the Daily Mail, they gave us this image. This was the first image they put out of the first responders responding to the victims. If you look at this man, I mean, it's possible he was hurt. But, you know, look, his legs seem to be fine. There's a little bit of blood on his arm. And here's two men needing to carry him with firemen all down at his feet. This looks more like a staged scene, just like the Boston Marathon bombing, something we were all treated to here on Tax Day, the 105th day of the year, 2013. Remember, Zionism and Masonry equal 105. We all pay our taxes on our income on the 105th day of the year, when it should be noted that when the nation was established, that was supposed to be illegal to tax income. Now it's just part of life in America. RT News, a propagandist news network, loves to code their videos. They're not the only ones. I've seen a lot of minute 13 videos out there showing this, but just look at this. The 113 in the video length of the terror from yesterday. These numbers. BBC all night, their thing said that their news was posted 33 minutes ago. Kept doing this research for hours last night. This 33 minutes just stayed there all night. Something common that I document in mini videos. They love to put these numbers before our eyes. Signatures, possibly even subliminal psychological programming. Also notice this, Truth Seeker. I did a video recently called the 10-Day Theory, how the powers that be like to do things 10 days after a notable event. The designation for this theater is November 3rd. The shooting was 10 days later, November 13th. Supposedly terrorists assassinated people at the theater. If you haven't seen my videos on assassination, I've shown how every major political assassination you've ever heard of is connected to the numbers 44 and 144. 10 days later equals 144. Lincoln had a dream 10 days before he was shot that he would be shot. Not long after the Gettysburg Address, having this gematria of 144. JFK was shot on the first day of Sagittarius, gematria of 144. His brother Bobby Kennedy would die in 68 at 1:44 in the morning. Robert Kennedy equals 66. Sirhan equals 66. He died 6/6, June 6th at 1:44 in the morning. Lincoln's dream came on April 4th, which is the same date in history. The first president to ever die in office died, the 9th president, William Henry Harrison. Also the date MLK was assassinated. Please see my videos on the deaths of Kennedy's, Lincoln, MLK, Malcolm X. They've all died by these numbers. When you write out 44, it sums to 144. I've been theorizing for more than 2 years that the next major 9/11 in the United States will be the assassination of of Barack Obama. The last president to die in office was the 44th term president, John F. Kennedy. The next will be Barack Obama, the 44th president. At least I theorize. And the reason I theorize that is not because I want it to happen, but because I want to stop the next 9/11. The truth must get out.